I will tell you, it's really about the journey, right? How does somebody go from being homeless to being a business owner, right? That's really what the journey is. There's 8 principles in that book that changed my life and continue to change my life today.
I'm pleased to introduce Rob Rowsell, whose name I said wrong, and everyone says wrong, I'm sure. Everyone says Roswell just because the dyslexia.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And one of the more interesting bios that I've had a chance to read, and I'm really happy to introduce you guys to Rob. Just a few years ago, Rob in 1999 was on the streets, homeless, unemployed, criminal lifestyle, living it up, so to say. No job, driver's license, no car, and over $60,000 in fines, restitution, and taxes and things like that. Admitted himself into a 30-day drug rehab in 1999 and has been sober ever since that day, God willing. And today you're now engaged in many businesses, right? 5 auto repair shops, which you sold a few years ago, real estate businesses that fixes and sells multifamily, and currently you have over 3,000 units in 8 states, over 100 million in quite the turnaround. And one of his greatest accomplishments is his Mexico home build mission trips, taking over 100 people down to Tijuana and builds 5 houses 3 times a year, which we really resonate with since Tim did the Hero Village in Haiti not too long ago. So
Yeah.
really cool stuff all around. An incredible story that I can't wait to hear more about. Great to see you, Rob.
Great to see you too, Logan. Thank you for the warm introduction. I'm excited to be here. And for those of you that don't know me, like Logan said, my name is Rob Rowsell. My beautiful bride, whom, if you follow me on social media, I refer to her as beautiful. Her name is Claudia. We are partners in business and in life. I honestly believe that if one can touch 1,000, two can touch 10,000. And my wife and I have proven that to be true. And I owe her my life because as Logan started out, my testimony starts with me being homeless and toothless and unemployable. And the Lord put that special angel in my life to make sure that I would live to see another day. And be now back then, her parents and my parents told her to run like hell. And quite frankly, they were 100% correct. That guy needed to be ran away from. I'm happy to tell you that guy no longer exists. Thank you,
Hmm.
Jesus. But the reality is nowadays she is living the life of her dreams because of her faith and because of God instilling in her that need to not give up on me. So God bless me for that, right? So we built a solid 5 store auto repair business, which we exited with a very successful 8-figure exit in 2021. But along the way, we had what we call in the business world, we had surplus, right? All of our ideal investors are creating surplus in one area of their life, right? That's what they're creating. So we were those business owners that had surplus, and we wanted to be good stewards of God's money. So we knew that along outside of the auto call,
I think we lost you there for a second.
you guys hear
Can
me?
you hear me, Rob? Oh, there we go. Well, you broke out for
Yeah.
about 10 seconds. Go on.
Oh, okay. So I just got a message. I never get this message, but I did today. My internet connection is unstable. So let's see how it hangs in there, Logan. So, anyways, we knew that we wanted to be good stewards of God money. We knew that was going to take some education. We didn't know the first thing about education, although we're pretty good at education nowadays. We understand the value, but we signed up for Robert Kiyosaki's Wealth Intelligence Academy. I don't even know if that's around anymore. That was 2007. And 2 years later, we were inducted into that school's Hall of Fame, which just means we did something with the $27,000 that we spent. That's all that really means, right? But at the Hall of Fame induction, there was a guy dancing around the stage by the name of Dave Lindahl. And Dave Lindahl was showing slides of these giant, massive apartment buildings. And I got bit by the bug of, wow, if that could work. I saw it going from just providing 1 or 2 houses to lots and lots of homes for people. And I saw house flipping as a job. I saw apartments as a business. And I got very excited about it. We jumped on to his education. I wish I could tell you that I was an overnight success. It wasn't until my big thinking was going from single family after spending another $27,000 on his education to buying fourplexes and sixplexes because I'm such a big thinker, right? Maybe some of you can relate to that. I'm a progression guy. I go from single family to 4 to 6 to 20 to in 2017 we bought our first 70plex. And then not long after that, we bought our first 96 plex. And that was with partners, joint venture partners that we had met in the rooms of education, just like this one, just people that we had connected with that were like-minded, that had the same values as us, that we decided to leverage their skills in one area and our skills in another. And I'm happy to say I've been in many deals with some of those same people. That's our background. Now, today, roughly 3,000 doors. It's always nice to say that number, but some of that is joint venture. I invest in
Mhm.
every category, guys. Me, and another friend, we pitch in. It's a joint venture, right? I do syndications. Claudia and I own apartments on our own. We self-own some stuff, and we also invest in other people's deals. I'm a passive investor for other people's stuff and categories that I don't have knowledge in as much as I should, like self-storage and flex space and that sort of stuff. So that's a little background on me, Logan. I hope I didn't go too long with that.
Oh no, you answer as long as you would like. And for those of you that have just jumped in, I know Trevor plugged it earlier. If you guys want, we're going to get into a little bit, but obviously we're limited on time. If you guys want to hear more about Rob, his background, his journey, I'll repost his website in the chat. You guys can get his book for free. All you need to give him is your email. And we all give our emails out these days. What is it? What is an email really? So I
I
put that in the chat. Go check out the book from Trevor. He had the hard copy. He's here for it. All right. But we'll get into it for sure. But
Well,
that was
something cool
fantastic.
I'll share with you about the book that will really inspire people to maybe read it because it's not really, it's not me writing a book, guys. I will tell you, it's really about the journey, right? How does somebody go from being homeless to being a business owner, right? That's really what the journey is. There's 8 principles in that book that changed my life and continue to change my life today because I still act upon those. But some cool factoids about the book. Number one is the introduction to the book was written by one of my arresting officers in 1999. And chapter 8 is going to tell you how we reconnected. It'll blow your mind. Every chapter has a different mugshot of mine. I had a lot of mugshots to choose from, and I chose my favorite 8, and every chapter has a different mugshot. Pretty cool stuff. And every one of those chapters, from you got to get uncomfortable and take action, chapter 1, all the way to you won't do it alone, and chapter 8, are principles of success that no matter where we're at in our journey, what season we're in financially, spiritually, mentally, physically, or emotionally, you will build upon where you're at with that book. I want to plug that as not just a rags to riches story. That's not even what it is. It's all about taking wherever you are, whether you're a retired surgeon, multimillionaire, or whether you're just getting started and homeless, doesn't matter. The book is designed to take you to the next level. Pretty cool stuff. And I give it
Awesome.
away for
Hey, when
free.
the Rob, when they make the movie about you, I want to roll. Okay. I'm just putting it out there now. I want to roll. I want to be on screen because I'm sure someone will reach out at some point. They need you on the big screen.
Awesome stuff.
But
Awesome
but
stuff.
speaking of going from that to a business owner, can you briefly describe what you're doing now? What's your business model now, and what are you guys most focused on this year and moving forward?
Sure. So our business model at SBA Capital is, and by the way, SBA is scripture-based acquisitions. Capital is straightforward. We buy Class C, Class B, cash flowing assets that need some sort of attention, right? We used to call it value plays. It isn't just value plays. It's about either the product itself, the property itself needs attention. Sometimes it's those capital improvements. Sometimes it's tenant culture. Sometimes we just need a clean house and get the slow pays, no pays out and turn it into a business like it's supposed to be. We buy, we fix, we sell. Mitigate risk by staying away from insurance companies. Think the whole state of Florida is a coastal. So we stay
Mm.
away from the coast because we don't want insurance to all of a sudden change our deal with one swoosh of a pen, because that does happen in the real world. So that's just us. But hey, and I know if I lived on the coast, I probably would buy on the coast, but I try to mitigate risk by staying with what I know. And honestly, I've never really spent the time to, I have spent the time, but I haven't executed 100% based upon my market research. It's always been a partner coming to me with a deal, me looking at the deal and then looking at the area and confirming that it had the things that I knew it needed, such as the right population, the right job growth. It's a big box industry, hospitals, all those things. I've tried it on with the thinking, hey, 30,000 in population, what could go wrong? I will tell you, there's a lot that can go wrong with 30,000 population, right? And don't I've had success with 30,000 population, but it's a crapshoot. And again, if your goal, like my goal, is to mitigate risk, I just don't take that risk anymore.
As a Tampa resident, I can confidently say that is the case. Many people have had good deals turn not so good when insurance rates went up.
Oh yeah,
I
it's
can't
crazy,
really
man.
fault you for that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
wild here in Florida. But you bring up a good point on some people, they spend all day looking for deals. And there is enough deals, air quotes, to go around, but not enough good ones, or else none of us would be here. We'd be out doing deals. Versus finding someone that you trust to partner with that that's what they're good at is finding deals because not everyone can be good at everything, right? I'm really good at underwriting, but I'm not good at finding the deals. Or I'm good at raising money, but I'm not good at, you can be good at both. But it sounds like you took the path of, hey, I know this person. I trust them. They found this deal. I'm going to do my due diligence, but I'm not going to spend all hours of the night searching through off market listings trying to find the perfect deal. I'm going to, when it's right, it'll come to me kind of thing, which I like
Yeah,
because you talk
and
to a
I
lot
did
of
a
people
little
who,
both. Yeah. It's for the things that we own on our own, and I was 1031ing out of single family in California. I did do that legwork, and you hit the nail on the head of the things that we all need to be good at. We don't, or the things that you need someone good at on your team in order to have success, such as underwriting and broker relationships and due diligence and all those things. I know how to do them all. I do
mm-hmm.
have my favorite stuff. I don't love I'm really good at underwriting, but I don't love doing underwriting. I don't love it. I'm really good at broker
Yeah.
relationships, but it's not my favorite thing. So I think my personal philosophy is we all need to be able to do each one of those roles to some degree in case somebody doesn't live up to asset management. I'm really good at that. I don't love doing it. It's a time sucker. It really is.
Yeah.
So having somebody on my team that's really good at it that I can make sure is keeping everything like reading P&Ls. I'm really good at reading P&Ls. I don't love reading P&Ls. I get AI to read them
Mm-hmm.
now, but at the end of the day, it's all about protecting my calendar. We all should be mindful of that, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't know anyone that, if someone loves underwriting, they got to get it checked because, man, it is not fun. Who
Right.
enjoys underwriting?
I think Paresh enjoys underwriting.
We found him. We
There's a
got
few.
Paresh.
There's crazy people that love
Hey man, I
underwriting.
love it,
You can have it, Paresh. I'm good. I'm good.
Right.
man.
You just need food on your
Uh,
team. That's what you need, right?
yeah, there we go. There we go. Awesome. And obviously, you touched on it earlier from your journey of not rags to riches, but really having nothing, having negative nothing when you owe the government money. What kind
Yeah.
of motivated you initially to? I know you said you mentioned I saw Dave on stage, right, talking about this multifamily thing. Really motivated you to pursue multifamily full time or commercial real estate in general?
It was a full-time gig because honestly, I had people working with me and for me, still do that do a lot of the things that either A, I didn't want to do, or B, I just didn't have the time to do. So just
Hmm.
like our auto repair business, when we exited, we had roughly 55, 50-ish employees. We started growing, and over time, the stuff we owned, we were self-managing for a time, which was great because it wasn't great because Dave continually encouraged me to stop doing that. Right? He says, "You do not want to be managing your own stuff." I didn't listen. Just a lot of coaching students. I didn't listen on a lot of things, but so I had somebody on my team managing it, and it was good because it gave us the education on how to manage managers now. Because we understand what fair housing means. We understand how important it is for maintenance calls to be addressed very quickly. We understand what the bank looks at for debt coverage ratio and occupancy and all those things. So it was good education, but I don't manage anything other than managers nowadays. But it was
Hmm.
good education. But the what motivated me for multifamily was it's single family and small multifamily scale. And I'm a scale type of person. Yep.
Yeah, single family, you hear it all the time. The day you stop doing deals, the day you stop making money, single family. And unless you want to be a landlord of 200 rentals on 200 different plots, which is not fun for obvious reasons, you can have 200 people on one property instead. Have one team manage them.
100%. Multifamily is a business that builds generational wealth. It creates
Mhm.
housing for hundreds of people at the same time, and it frees up bandwidth to serve in other areas of life. That's what was important to me.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
besides, I know you mentioned Robert Kiyosaki, which I'm sure many people know, Dave Lindahl, of course, who we're throwing this big party for in a few weeks. Did you have any, how did you acquire the necessary skills and knowledge? Were those like your two main mentors, or did you have anybody else that you leaned on to learn the ropes?
My coach at RE Mentor, his name was Craig Bicard. Craig was a good mentor for me. My coach under Robert Kiyosaki's educational program. His name was Mark. Mark was a great beginning lead into coaching for me. Over the years, I've gotten coaching from numerous people, but no one person. And it's funny, Jim Rohn talks about it quite a bit. Not any one person has all the answers, right? We're going to need to get, and even calls like this, just getting around the right people, getting in the right rooms, partnering. Some of my partners have become my mentors, even from just learning, watching them do this business because they were a few hundred yards in front of me in the minefield of how we navigate this business and learning from them. They had exited a couple of properties and I had not yet. I'd only acquired them. So that is a perfect example of somebody being further down the road than you. So my coaches are numerous in this business. Yeah.
Sounds like you're very open-minded too, which is a quality like being coachable. It's a quality not a lot of people talk about, I think, because, oh, I know this thing. It's very hard to admit when you are wrong or you don't understand something fully. Having
Good
someone that
point.
can thoughtfully say, hey, no, you got to do it this way, or you should do it this way. This is how I do it. And I've been successful doing it this way instead. That's why I think coaches and mentors are so important because it's good to be humbled every now and again, right? You always hear
Yeah.
you never want to be the smartest person in the room, etc. But that's very apparent whenever you talk to someone and you think funds or syndications, and then you hear them talk, and you're like, "Oh, I don't know anything at all, actually." So I need to listen up. And obviously, we get into multifamily, and I think for a lot of people, this is the capital raising party, capital show. It's Tim's bread and butter, and what we do with Hero, and what we're teaching a lot of the RE Mentor students is capital raising. And so I'm curious, from your first capital raise you went on, did you face any big challenges and how did you overcome them asking people for money for the first time?
Well, my first capital raise, I had no idea what I was doing, just like a lot of us. I thought with the credibility that I had built as a business owner, raising money from friends and family and neighbors would be a piece of cake. And boy, was I ever wrong. Because quite honestly, I was known as the auto repair guy. I was known as a business guy. I was known as a Christian guy, but it
Hmm.
wasn't, and I was a legend in my own mind, right? But because I thought that because of all of that, it would be a piece of cake. And really, they weren't going to trust me with their cash for an asset class that I hadn't proven myself in yet. And that was, Charles just put it in the chat a moment ago. He's humbled all the time. That was a humbling lesson for me. So I went back to work and got around the right people. I stayed in the right education, kept showing up. And over time, my consistency and my unwillingness to quit just started speaking for me, guys. I think we can all relate to that to some degree. The track record showed up, the trust kind of followed that. And the lesson that I really pulled from that is credibility doesn't transfer automatically. You earn it in every new arena that you decide to step into.
Consistency, it sounds
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah, staying consistent.
Tenacity. Yeah.
Even,
Love that.
and when we talk to people, I'm like, hey, I hope if you want to raise money, you're okay with being told no. You will hear it more than you ever have in your life asking
Right.
to when you want a capital raise. And so consistency, I think, is the message to take away from that for sure. And speaking of credibility, what are some ways you implemented to try to establish credibility, both when you were starting out, maybe, and also now? Like, how do you establish credibility with somebody that you don't know?
Honestly, a few things kind of worked together. Main thing was about the time I was doing this, social media was really kicking into high gear. And Claudia and I really just started consistently putting our little tidbits of education, what we were learning, what we were buying, what was working. And over time, it shifted to how our friends, family, neighbors, and strangers even began to see us as we started getting some followers on different platforms. We weren't just the auto repair couple anymore. We were also the real estate couple. And many of them are in our deals today. Second, as I wrote that book, what gave us a little bit more authority. And that's really what the book was meant to do, was to show people that if I can do this, you can do this. And that's really, and part of that was our journey in investing in real estate, because I think many of us probably don't even realize how much people believe in real estate as a vehicle to pure wealth. And they're just afraid, and they're just looking for someone that they can trust that has that experience that they're looking for. And third, and this is probably one of the most where most new operators, the part that skip is I joint ventured my first big deals with experienced operators, right? So that
Mm.
was important as well. I piggybacked on their coattails of credibility. I didn't try to be the lead sponsor on day one. I partnered with people who had the track record and learned in real time and let their credibility carry the deal. while I built my own credibility and got to a closing on a property with them, a couple of them, as a matter of fact. And lastly, the auto repair exit kind of spoke for itself. When investors saw we built and sold an eight-figure business, it told them we know how to execute. Track record is
Mhm.
one arena builds trust in the next, but only if you've actually executed, right?
Yeah, I wish I could take that excerpt and broadcast it to a lot of the kind of newbies that we end up talking to, or anyone I talk to, or they really want to be the lead sponsor. I would say now it's even harder with rates and investors being a little
Yeah.
bit more cold feet about getting into multifamily or really commercial real estate. Like we're in a weird economy right now. Is partner with someone else who does some of the hard work for you, ride their coattails. That's a negative connotation. I don't know why would I not partner with somebody who, the example I use a lot of the time is, would you rather raise money for Google or Circuit City? You saw how Circuit City turned out, right? If you can find someone who's experienced and they've done a lot of the heavy lifting of underwriting and finding the deal and they have a team, just go partner with them. You're going to make some money. You're going to get a lot of experience. And now you can say, oh, look, I've been a part of a deal rather than trying to go take down a 50 unit on your own, which these days is hard to even get the debt for sometimes, depending on your background. So I love that answer because that's what I tell everybody. I'm like, hey, don't go be a lead sponsor. You can, it's not illegal, but it is so much a path of way less resistance to find someone who's experienced and partner with them. So I love that. Now that you guys have built all this credibility and you have the, like when you get an investor on the phone, closing them is probably a lot easier than it was maybe 15 years ago. But what are some ways that you guys attract new investors now that you have that brand? Like, how do you guys do any kind of marketing, or is it just going to events? Like, how do you attract new people into your network?
Right at the moment, it's really my investor database that I already have. But our first and foremost always is our existing investors, right? Our best capital comes from people that are already in our deals. And I know most of the people on this call can relate to that. When you execute and communicate well and treat people's money like it's God's money, because it is, they reinvest and they bring their friends. Most of our raisers today are filled by existing LPs depending on the size. We did a very large one. It was like $17 million. It was a lot of people that I had never met before that came into that deal naturally, right? So second, social media. That's where those people came from. Content. Claudia and I have been pretty consistent for years, putting out education, deal updates, and behind the scenes look at what we do. Just seeing behind the curtain, so to speak. It's not flashy, quite honestly. It's just consistent. And over time, it builds a warm audience that I think it builds that trust, even though they don't personally know us, that are that, that audience of people that trust you before you ever pick up the phone. And then the third one is when we just talked about it a moment ago, it's the rooms like ultimate partnering, right? Masterminds, conferences, RE mentor community, podcasts like this one, the relationships that I built next to other operators just by sitting with them and talking with them, general partners, LP at different events have produced more capital and more deal flow than any cold outreach ever could.
Absolutely. Network's your net worth, right? We've all heard it. And so it sounds like to me, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys don't really have to do, you don't have a marketing strategy when you are promoting a deal. Like when you're ready to raise, you have such a strong list, you just send it to them and say, hey, here's what we're working on now. And you don't have to go out of your way to try and get new investors necessarily because you treat them so well. They're going to tell their friends. Referrals are gold when it comes to LPs, right? Is that right? You guys don't really have like a marketing strategy. You guys just kind of, hey, this is coming up. Keep an eye out. Is that kind of what you guys do?
When I'm, it's a great question. So if I'm raising a couple $1,000,000, piece of cake. If I'm raising
Hmm.
$17 million again, then yeah, there's going to be a marketing strategy with social media. Really, honestly, it's Facebook and Facebook posts and doing the whole thing from grabbing leads, making free content available, having people opt in, getting them into a drip system and warming them up with our drip system. That's our strategy. But if I'm south of $4 million, I can usually raise that from my existing ecosystem already, Logan.
Gotcha. Okay. And have you ever had a raise where you questioned your ability? Because I run into this sometimes. You ever had a raise where you sat there and you were like, oh, I don't know if I can do this? Or was it always in the back of your mind? I know we can finish this raise.
Well, I will tell you the $17 million raise tested me for, like Charles said, I was humbled by that one for sure. Mostly because I partner with people that were convinced and had me convinced that they would carry their share of the work, not just the capital raise, but also the taking down of the property, the due diligence side, the financial due diligence, all of that. And not just in those other areas, but also on their investor relations role, they were unable to perform. So it made me step up, and other team members, not just myself, step up and have to
Mhm.
fill in the gaps for them. And I will tell you, it tested us quite a bit. Yeah.
There goes back to what you said earlier about trying to be good at everything if you can, and just in case someone else,
Got to be ready.
whether it's life happens or they just can't fulfill their end of the deal, you better be able to step in, or else all of your time that you spent is for nothing. And when it comes to your investors, do you have an ideal investor profile you look for, like a specific avatar, doctor, lawyer, or whenever you're trying to get new investors for a bigger raise?
I'm a little bit more broad than just focusing on the high on a doctor or high net worth W-2. I am looking for an accredited investor. Typically, it's a business owner, a professional like a doctor, like you talked about, or an executive in their 40s to 60s, someone who's built wealth through their primary career and the surplus we talked about a little while ago. They've created some of that, and now they're looking to diversify into some other asset class, right? In this case, it's cash flowing real estate without having to operate it. They want to receive checks, they want to receive notifications, they want to know what's going on, and they want to learn. A lot of them want to learn, but they just don't want to be in control to where they have to be obligated to be on the meetings. A lot of them actually insist on being on some of the management meetings because they want to learn how it's done. They value
Mhm.
three things mainly, has been my experience: trust, communication, and consistency. They're not chasing the highest possible return. Some of them are happy with Grant Cardone returns, 4 to 5%. They just want steady, tax advantage return from an operator they trust to tell them really what's going on. Not pie in the sky, but business as usual, good or bad or ugly, whatever it is. And that's a group that we target because it's really who we are, man. Claudia and I built our business, or excuse me, built our wealth as a business owner. We understand being on the other side of the counter, having created wealth. We understand what that takes, that surplus, and really how hard it is to get there. And we want to treat them just like we wanted to be treated back when we were on that side of the counter. It's a shared language and a shared respect that makes the relationship really work long term, Logan.
Yeah, being a business owner, I think that goes to anyone who's trying to find their avatar, or maybe they have one and it's not the right one because they're trying to raise from a group they can't relate to. I'm in Tampa. I'm not going to go raise money from lawyers in LA, probably, right? I don't really relate to lawyers in LA, but some people, they'll just go after the highest kind of income tax bracket they can. But sometimes that can work, but also having that shared experience of, hey, I went through this thing that you are doing, and this is what I've done with that after I sold my auto repair shop and I did all these things. I want to give you the same outcome I had after I sold my
Right.
business.
Yep.
And it sounds like you have their motivations for investing right on the head, because I always say I'd rather have a good deal that I can call and ask questions about any day than a 30% return that I can't get in touch with and I don't know what's happening. We're humans. We want to have that connection, and investors want to feel seen, I think, is a good way to put it.
100%. Yep.
Absolutely.
As I mentioned at the beginning, I'm an LP in a lot of different deals, Logan, and I see the good and the bad on communication and everything in between. So if I have to reach out to my guy, then that's not a great deal. Although I don't mean deal, that's not a great situation, is what I mean to say. And there's some people that I do have to reach out to, and they're still available. I'm able to get a hold of them. I'm able to get my questions answered, whether it be by email because it's too early in the morning to call them, or a text message. But I really shouldn't have to do that. I should hear from them often enough to where I'm not wondering where we're at in the process. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Excuse me. And whenever you are, when we're talking about long-term investors, how do you try to maintain relationships with investors? I ask this question a lot because some people do birthday cards, send a bottle of wine, or take them to dinner, newsletters, direct mail. Do you guys do anything like that for your longer-term investors to keep you top of mind?
No, I probably should, to be completely honest with you. I don't. I don't do that. Actually genius. But just like a lot of us, I get caught up in the day to day of normal life, and I sometimes I forget that those nice little touches are absolutely made. We do send Christmas cards, and for a time we were
Hmm.
doing birthday cards. It got a little bit troublesome to try to keep up with those, but holidays, yes. Yep.
Okay. Yes, you do something. You don't do
Yeah.
nothing. Christmas cards are still welcome. I'm sure they're like, oh, Rob, let me see if he's got a deal
Friendly
in
reminders hasn't
January,
gone
right?
anywhere.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, I've heard all kinds of things. Jeremy Dyer with Rise 48, he does like handwritten notes and stuff like that. And he's admitted it takes way more time than I would like. So I don't recommend everyone do that. But some kind of touch is a good way for to stay top of mind for a long-term kind of investor.
I think it's
Um,
genius.
and so it sounds like you guys, when you have a deal, you're not really ever needing to scramble unless it's a really big deal, which sounds like more of something you're going to plan for, a $17 million raise. So you guys aren't ever really needing to hustle, 4 million and below. Hey, I know my list can take care of this. And so it sounds like the capital has gotten to a point where it's pretty steady, or you have your systems in place, your drip campaigns, your follow-up sequences. And so I'm curious, with all the deals you guys have done, have you ever had a deal that faced a capital call or lost money, and how did you guys navigate through that if that's happened? Because it's happened to many of us.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, some deals have slowed down. We're all in the same market conditions. I heard someone talking about having closed their latest deal in Lubbock. I have a deal in Lubbock that slowed down quite a bit, it's 100 units. But really, the magic on a lot of these projects is, as we all know, is the on-site management. Right? That's the key. Those, even though they're not your employees, they are your employees, and the difference between success and failure can be how good of an employee is monitoring or watching the store, so to speak. And knowing, and the other thing that I've learned is to be a lot faster in making a decision that somebody's a good fit or someone's not a good fit, because I've seen the roller coaster of occupancy and collections. Certainly, my project in Lubbock, Texas is a great example of that. We've gone back to our investors for some reserve capital and raised some additional capital for that, which put us in a better position. I'm happy to say that we changed property management companies, and this is fresh stuff. This is not historical data. This is like February, we changed property management companies, just coming to the end of their third month, and they've taken me from 72% occupancy almost to 90% occupancy in that short period of time. That's the difference between a good employee and a bad employee, or a good management company and a bad management company. But as we all know, changing property management companies is not an easy task. It's a painful one. We don't love to do
Nope.
it, but we know that it has to happen from time to time. And unfortunately, I've had similar challenges in many communities. When I say many, three of our 13 have now one of them we own with one other partner. It's just a joint venture, but we've got it turned around. I've had fires kick my butt a little bit and slowed down proceeds because for those of you that don't know, if you haven't had the fun experience of having a fire on your property, the although you have income loss insurance, the property, excuse me, the insurance company comes in and does a calculation based upon your rent roll at the time of the fire, right? So really good to know that if you have low occupancy in, not I don't mean overall occupancy in the building that had the fire. So if you got numerous buildings and one of them is a 16 unit, which is a real life example, and four doors were vacant on that 16 unit, they're going to calculate the rents based upon the ones that were occupied. And they've got some sort of an equation that they use. It turns out to be about 60% of the rent you would have received had it been had you been receiving the rents and had the operating. You still lose those four units, can't rent them,
Yep.
but the reality is they come up with the number. So that can tighten up cash flow a little bit as well. So yeah, we've had challenges. We've gone back to investors. I think the key with all of that, Logan, is communication, transparency, consistency, and making sure that it's in the forefront. Knowing who doesn't have absolutely no clue how to find their own portal to get the communication right, and just texting them a link to the YouTube video. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, you're not going to get a phone call in 3 months saying, I haven't heard from you in 5 months, right? So it's really just knowing, being situationally aware to all of that, right?
We all have a few of those.
We
I
all
can't find my
do.
portal. How do I get there? Here's the
And
link. I can't
the
log
same.
in.
I've never been in the portal before. No, it says right here you were there 4 days, 14 days ago, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Technology has made some things easy, some things a little more challenging.
yeah,
But it does sound like you have the exact mindset to manage whether it's a fire or market conditions. Like this is real estate, right? Not every deal is going to be perfect. Even if it
right.
looks perfect on paper, you mentioned it. It can't be overstated the property manager, the people on site make a huge difference in how happy your tenants are, whether they pay or not, and whether you're getting new people moving in, which ultimately affects everybody in the deal, right? Even if they
Yeah,
are just a property management company, they can change quite a bit in a short period of time. So I'm glad you're back
100%.
up to 90% there. That's awesome. Hopefully that continues as well. And with all these deals you guys do, have you guys ever done a fund or
I
you've
have
only
not done
done
a fund.
syndication and okay. Have you guys ever considered doing a fund and why not?
I considered it for a while. I hung around Raise Masters, and there's a lot of funds within that and education.
Mhm.
I got a little bit of that education, and at the time, it just wasn't something that I wanted to do. To be completely honest with you, I
Mhm.
love the philosophy behind it. I just made a decision that wasn't what we were going to do at that time. Yep,
Yeah. Yeah.
personal decision. Yep.
Yeah, for some people, it's there's pros and cons to both, but sometimes it's easier to just focus on one thing at a time rather than raising 15, $20 million for five different properties. It could get very hectic very quickly. We know that all too well. And so I was just curious if you guys had considered it or not. And obviously, you've been in the industry for a long time now. Did you experience anything during 2008 and the last market crash? Like, how did that affect you trying to break into this industry, if at all?
Honestly, I just like a lot of people that are going to be getting in right now and haven't experienced the rough patch that we've been going through and experiencing with the interest rates and so on and so forth. I
Hmm.
jumped in 2007 and was on the tail end of that. And I was the one that was running around behind people picking up the pieces on the single family side. And then in 2009, right around 2009, when I jumped into multifamily, same thing. We didn't buy in a down slope. We bought in a buyer's market phase one, which was actually a blessing. Yeah. Yep.
And speaking of that, the rough patch we're coming out of, what do you think your predictions are for the market moving forward? And how are you preparing to gear up for that since everyone's been saying survive 25, thrive 26?
Survive 25. That's cool. That's cool because it rhymes. I don't know. I don't know if surviving 25 is going to be the goal here. It might be picking up sticks in 26. I don't. We'll have to see, brother. But
It's something that we've heard thrown around for
no, I
months
love
and
it. I
months
love it.
now.
Hey,
It's catchy.
the reality is we just went through prior to this little bit of a down spout that we're going through. We went through the longest runs of increase in values that the country has ever seen, at least to the best of my knowledge. Don't quote me on that, but it's a long one. It was
Yeah.
what we started in 2000, and we say the crash was an eight. Okay, when did it start to pick up? Nine, 10, and we went all the way until 21. That's an 11-year run. That's a long run, guys. That's a long run. So how long does it take to recover from that? Will they keep the interest rates up and make it difficult for us to have a crash, even deeper crash? I don't know. Is it 3 years? Is it 4 years? I'm an optimistic guy. I'm praying that
Hmm.
26, at the end of 26, we start to see this thing turn around, but it could be as deep as the beginning of 28. Who knows? 29. It could be a long time. But does that mean that there's not deals out there all the time? There's always a deal. It just means the competition might be stiffer and they might be a little bit harder to find. That's all.
Absolutely. I think last week on the show, we said there is a lot of opportunity out there because there's so many people on the sidelines. But at the same time, there's also a lot of people doing deals the wrong way still from the 21, 22. They haven't been bit yet. And so you have to watch out for that because some people are still operating under that 21, 22 kind of buying philosophy. And at least for the majority of us here, we don't think that works anymore. So you have to look at things a little bit differently. You do have to be
Right.
careful, even though that does mean there is more opportunity theoretically because so many people are backing off, staying on the sidelines. That means you have to be even more hyper vigilant on what you do take down. But really well put. Yeah, it's definitely one of the longer uptrends of real estate. We make the joke all the time. If you bought multifamily in 2016, you didn't even have to be a good operator. You just make money.
Exactly. What,
And
yeah.
so I'm curious, like when it comes to the marketing and stuff you guys do you have any big tools or resources, syndication software, portals that you guys rely on or you recommend other people use for your business?
Honestly, I'm pretty basic, guys. I'm using Excel tools. As far as underwriting goes, I'm using Juniper Square for ACH distributions, K1s. I'm using Asana for project management. I'm using Notion for my source of truth knowledge base. I use Slack for team communications. I'm a Google Workspace guy. But
Mhm.
honestly, if everybody hasn't adopted AI to the next level, and I'm not talking going to chat and having a conversation, I'm not talking about Claude and having a conversation. I'm talking about knowing what all the tools are all about, knowing Perplexity, knowing Google Gemini, knowing Grok, knowing Claude, knowing Chat, and knowing each one of those and what their specialty is and how to use those. I'm telling you, you're missing the boat. Not that you're behind, because there is no behind. We're all going to be our own season for every category, and AI is no different than that. But if you don't know about Claude Cowork, and how to utilize Claude Cowork effectively, you've lost your ever loving mind. You need to get off this call. You need to go to YouTube and type in Claude Cowork and binge watch about 2 hours of videos and have your mind blown how your life could be made easier. It made so much easier because the whole goal with AI is not to talk to an 1100 IQ friend that knows the answer to everything. It's to start taking and shaving 30 seconds here, 2 minutes there, 2 hours there, 10 hours there every single week, and yet accomplishing the same amount or more. So we have more time to spend with our friends, families, and relatives. That's really what it's all about. And for those of you that don't know, I'm an AI architect. I teach on AI. I teach all those categories we just talked about. And I think it is absolute. I can take a spreadsheet. We have systems in our business. I have a VA that takes our spreadsheets for excuse me, our P&Ls from our properties, puts them into a Claude project, and it spits out a dashboard and tells us exactly how we're doing for that month and month over month. And literally in, I'm going to guess, 20 seconds, what used to take them 4 hours and never give me a dashboard or any type of an idea of how I'm doing month over month, how I'm doing in comparison this time last year, seasonal or non-seasonal. All of that is the visual of a dashboard. And it's all doable. It's called a live artifact in Claude. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go do a binge watch. Type in live artifact Claude and go do a binge watch. You're missing the boat on saving a bunch of time.
You could not have said it more perfect if I gave you the words, because 3 years ago, people use ChatGPT for routine tasks. It has, if you haven't been paying attention in the last 2 or 3 years, there is things you cannot imagine that AI can do a lot simpler than you don't have to learn how to code anymore, right? You can just go on YouTube and watch someone do it. Everyone has YouTube. It is free. YouTube University is the best way to learn AI workflows and tasks and things to shave time off here and there. I recommend everyone get into some
100%,
kind,
brother.
even if you've never used it, use it for you need to draft up investor emails and texts. We use them all the time for whenever we're sending out any kind of investor information. Just get in the process of using it, and then you'll learn more and more, because if you're not using it, you will be left behind, is my opinion. It sounds like Rob's opinion as well.
I will also tell you, I'm at the gym every single day, just about at least six
Mhm.
six days a week, and I'm that weirdo that walks into the gym with a tablet and sets it
Mm.
up and watches 1 hour while I'm doing my workout, whether I be doing strength training or I'm on the elliptical. What am I learning? I'm spending and getting my 45 minutes of AI training every single day. Because if you don't know this, there's stuff that have come out with for Claude in the last literally 2 weeks that have changed the game. 2 weeks, guys. It's that brand new. Claude has just released something called Claude. Oh, forgive me. It'd be outside of Cowork. It just released Claude. Oh, I'm sorry. I just drew a blank, but it's Claude. It's artifacts is what it is, but it's going to compete with Canva. It's going to compete with a lot of other things that we're already using. And it does it very, I can't think of the name right now. Forgive me, but there's so many things that have just came out. And now it's all you can set up automations with a just talk to it. Say, look, could you have this go off every single day at such and such a clock? And if it hasn't, it's a conversation that you're currently having. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And now let's apply that to multifamily. All the things that I do in multifamily, it goes into my Asana. I'm talking in Claude. I want to expand a couple people's minds from this right. I'm in Claude and I'm having a conversation in Claude, and I say, do me a huge favor, go into my Asana. I got 15 minutes before I hop on my next asset management call for Cherry Hill Apartments. Can you please review the last three transcripts and tell me what my agenda should be for this meeting? And just like that, I'm on my call 5 minutes later. I'm on my call 15 minutes later, and I have my agenda pulled up without me doing anything because I automatically have my transcript from every single call be put into a Notion database, and I can tap into that resource at any time I want.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's even if you hit it right on the head 2 weeks ago. For some
Two
people who
weeks.
haven't been locked in a year ago, it was way different than it is now, especially Claude. Claude has made a lot of leaps in the last year, but all of them 3 or 4 years ago used ChatGPT to answer some question like it was Google. But now it can do things that you would be astonished, whether
It's
it's video
amazing.
creation, photos, graphics, automations, like you mentioned. I use it every day.
Claude Design. I just had a senior moment there, so forgive me. Claude
There
Design is the name
it
of the
is.
new platform that they just added on. And is anybody here, and I'm sorry to go so deep on this, but I just have a
Oh
passion
no,
for
you're
it.
fine.
Is anybody not using Claude for Excel? Is anybody here, is anybody familiar with what I'm talking about when I say Claude for Excel? Okay, good. I was hoping to see your hand go up, Paresh, because if you don't have Claude in Excel, you're missing the boat. 100% missing the boat, guys. It literally is a button that starts showing up on your Microsoft spreadsheet that you can click, open a side panel, and start talking to it to build and learn from the spreadsheet that you currently have open. It's absolutely mind blowing, guys. It's mind blowing. And it's free if you have any type of a subscription to Claude. So you're not paying any additional for that. Anyways, forgive me,
Absolutely.
Logan. We'll move on. You
No,
did.
no, that's
You
fine.
started
And that
talking about
reminds me.
tools, man. There's lots and lots of
Yeah,
tools.
that reminds me that Tim has. I'm gonna put it in the chat for everyone. We have an AI multifamily challenge
Oh,
that we're doing.
fantastic.
We're doing this week. So I put it there in the chat. You guys can check it out. It is today at it's day two, so you didn't miss day one, but you get the recording. It's today at 6 Central. We're doing it today, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. AI multifamily partnership challenge. Really cool stuff that we've been doing it for a couple months
Oh,
now.
that's
We're doing it
awesome.
every couple weeks. So if you guys want, check it out. You will learn quite a bit about some cool AI stuff there as
And
well.
Tim is big on AI,
Um,
so I know he knows a lot about this
oh,
already.
he
Yep.
if he was on here with us, he would just go on and on about. He loves it because it's you always have something new to learn. Which I,
No, that's for sure. That's
yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
Yep.
And
Cool.
so I'm curious if you could go back and restart your real estate investing journey, would you do anything differently? And what would you do? And you can't say buy
One,
Bitcoin.
honestly, I would have started sooner. So that's
Hmm.
what I would do differently. I would get off the diving board and jump in the pool a lot sooner. I waited too long to pull the trigger for all the same reasons we all did because I was so intimidated by multifamily and was really just in my comfort zone in single family.
Hmm.
Even that was a little bit uncomfortable, but I felt like I could control that a whole lot easier. And comfort is the enemy of growth. I talk about that in my book. We all know that. Second, I'd go bigger faster. I remember I told you guys the biggest $27,000 education in 8 months worth of going to classes. And back then it wasn't a whole lot online. It was all flying around the country. And it took me from single family to fourplexes, right? So I spent years buying small multifamily when I could have skipped straight to 50 plus units with the right partners in the right season. 2009, guys, 2010, 2011. I missed a lot of the boat. I don't regret the path at all, but I certainly would have moved faster into bigger stuff. The deal size doesn't change, the zeros do, right? It's the same amount of work to get a closing done, same amount, just a whole lot more exits would have taken place. So if I was starting today, I'd find a great operator, I'd joint venture and do a deal with them as quickly as I can, bringing what I bring to the table of value to their value so that we could synergize and I'd learn at scale instead of learning at small scale.
Great answer,
Yeah.
which is a common answer I get. I would have started sooner and I would have went bigger faster because that's a great way to put it. The deals are the same. The zeros just get bigger. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on the same note, what advice would you give to someone who aspires to get to 3,000 units, 100 million, raise $17 million on a single raise, which I know you had partners with? What advice would you give to someone like that doubts their ability to achieve that goal?
Well, doubt is normal, right? We all have that battle going on between our ears, and what we need to realize is that the biggest battle that we're going to battle our whole life is that one between our ears, right? And so we just need to get over ourselves and figure out that if not me, who? And if not now, when? That's really what it comes down to. So quitting is the only real failure. Here's what I'd tell them. 100 million is just 100 conversations of $1 million or 1,000 conversations of 100,000. It's not magic. It's just math. Relationships, consistency over time, get around people who've already done it. Get a coach. Stop trying to do it alone. Like a lot of us A personality people, we're pretty independent lone rangers, I call us, right? Get around the people that have done it and stay around them. And remember, you don't raise 100 million by being impressive. You raise it by being trustworthy, showing up every day for years. The people who hit that goal aren't the smartest. They're the ones that just refused to quit. That's really the bottom line.
That's a great answer. I love that. Rob, you have been a wealth of information today. You've been fantastic, giving me some really good answers. Because I ask a lot of these questions a lot. Some of these are very unique answers that I
Oh, good.
love.
I'm glad to hear
Um,
that, man.
and you've been super generous with your time and your knowledge. How can the audience support or give back to you? And what's the best way for everyone to connect with you before we get into Q&A?
Two simple ways. Now, I think one, if anything that I've shared with anybody on this call has helped in any way, share the episode with someone who needs to hear it. Number two, if you're an accredited investor and you'd like to learn more about what we're doing, reach out to me. I'm pretty easy to find. I'm not super creative. You just look for my name on any one of the platforms, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, IG, Facebook, my website, they're all my name. Pretty simple stuff. We always make time for serious conversations. And even if that's just questions about where you're at in your journey, whether it be a deal question, a partnership question, and honestly, the best way you can give back is to take action on what you've learned. Take action, get uncomfortable and take action. Don't let this just be another podcast and nod along to whatever you're hearing. Pick one thing and execute on it this week. It's Tuesday. There's a lot of daylight left in the week. Pick one thing, and execute on it this week. That's how you can give back to me.
Awesome. You guys heard him. It means you guys have to go out and take action. You guys
One
heard Rob.
thing.
So I love it. Fantastic.